The Gralvok warfleet did not broadcast distress calls, not in 3,000 cycles of expansion, not through 9 border crusades, not even when their flagships burned and their warriors bled out in vacuum, and they certainly did not beg. Humans were new to the coalition. Soft, short. Lived, improvised. They survived wars the way cockroaches survived fire by refusing to die when they were supposed to. Yet today, aboard the dread carrier Iron Maul, pack leader KARROTH stood in a medical bay that smelled like antiseptic and shame. On the primary slab, his cub lay motionless. Vera, 8 cycles old, silver-gray fur, damp and clumped, her ribs barely lifting, her pupils sluggish, unfocused, like the lights were going out behind them. The ship's physician, an insectorenal named SESS, clicked his mandibles against the translator collar. The venom has entered the tertiary heart, Sess reported, voice mechanically steady. Organ collapse is accelerating. We have exhausted the antidote library. Pack leader, she has 2 human hours. Perhaps less. 2 hours. KARROTH's claws cut bright lines into the steel floor as he flexed them without realizing it. Behind him, the pack stood in silence. 12 elite warriors, their ears pinned flat, their tails rigid in grief posture. They had taken 40 systems. They had crushed fleets that screamed. They had never once failed to protect what was theirs, and now they could not stop a single bite from stealing a child. It was a training run, KARROTH growled. Voice low enough to vibrate the bones, routine, controlled. A frontier world does not remain controlled, SES's replied. The Styrian red serpent was disturbed. The strike was precise. A strike, a needle of venom one. Mistake. That was all it took to reduce a conqueror to a father with blood on his hands. KARROTH leaned closer. Vira's breath trembled in short, broken pulls. Her secondary heart monitor stuttered like it wanted to give up. His jaw tightened until the muscles ached. From behind, second in command, Morok stepped forward carefully. Leader Morok said, "The human vessel Grey Lantern answered our beacon. They request docking clearance. They claim their medical officer has experience with Styrian. Toxins." The word human tasted like insult. KARROTH turned his head slowly. Fangs showing. "What can fragile creatures offer?" he said. "That our med systems cannot produce." Morok hesitated. That hesitation told KARROTH everything. "They survive," Morok said quietly. "They survive things that should kill them. Their doctor insists they have methods not recorded in coalition data." KARROTH looked back at Her paw twitched once. Weak, involuntary. 2 hours? Pride was a luxury for the living. Let them dock. KARROTH growled. Dr. Maya Rivera stitched together shattered bodies on Earth for 8 years, before leaving for coalition service. She had held pressure on arterial sprays. She had cracked ribs during CPR until bones snapped. She had watched monitors flatline, then brought them back anyway. When the distress signal came through, her partner and xenobiologist John Park had already pulled the toxin profile. Jon's eyes widened over his datapad. "Styrian reed serpent," he said. "That's the same family we encountered on Keswick. Remember the colonist?" Maya was already moving, hands flying through storage compartments. "Yeah," she said. He stopped breathing. "We saved him with blunt tools and stubborn timing." John swallowed. "You mean antihistamines? Adsorbents? Shock support?" Maya snapped her med kit shut. "Old Earth medicine. The kind that looks ridiculous until it works." They walked through the iron Maul's docking corridor and immediately felt the atmosphere change. VOKKARINE warriors lined the passageway. Tall, furred, digitograde, armored like tanks, and staring like executioners. Their reputation was legendary. Predators, territorial, proud enough to die rather than ask for aid. Maya did not slow down. She kept walking like she belonged there, because inside that ship was a cub dying in front of her father, and Maya had seen that exact grief 1,000 times in different faces, in the medical bay. The pack leader was waiting. KARROTH was bigger than she expected. Not just tall, but dense. Like gravity had decided to build a creature out of muscle and fury. His amber eyes locked onto her, burning hot with something that wasn't only anger, fear, on the slab behind him. The cub's chest barely moved. Maya stepped around KARROTH without asking permission. She lifted her scanner. "How long since envenomation?" she demanded. Sess bristled. 7 hours? Human. "We have administered stop listing failures," Maya said, scanning faster. "Show me outputs." Sess clicked and projected the diagnostic display mass. CYTOTOXIC cascade, she muttered. Hemolysis. Neural disruption. Vascular collapse. She looked at John. "It's worse than the colonist KARROTH's." Voice came out rough and quiet. "Can you save her? It wasn't a question a warlord would ever ask, but it was exactly the question a father would." Maya met his eyes. "I can try," she said, "but my approach will look primitive to you." KARROTH leaned closer, towering. "I do not care if you howl at moons or bleed into bowls," he snarled. "Save her." Maya's mouth twitched, almost a smile. "Then you need to trust me," she said. "Because the fix won't be pretty." She turned to John. "Prep the old kit," she ordered. "It's sorbent compound, H1 blockers, epinephrine, and pull the synthesized antivenom sample from our KESIC archives." "Sessis," translator sputtered in disbelief. "Charcoal-based adsorbents," SESS snapped. "Antihistamine suppressants. Those are archaic human compounds. They cannot possibly counter a refined Styria neurotoxin. They're not countering it elegantly," Maya said, already loading doses. "They're buying time. Your antivenoms are too precise. They target a narrow set of proteins after the damage is done." She pointed at the readouts. "This venom triggers a massive immune overreaction. Your systems are trying to solve the wrong war. You're fighting the venom. We're fighting the reaction," John ran calculations. "Metabolic conversion matches 70% with me on physiology." Maya nodded. "Close enough to gamble." She didn't say the part out loud, that human medicine was a museum of brutal lessons. That half of it was trial and error, carved into survival. That sometimes the blunt hammer works better than the perfect scalpel. Maya inserted the gastric tube. SESS recoiled like she'd committed a crime. Then Maya pushed the adsorbent solution, followed by a carefully adjusted antihistamine cocktail. Then a microdose of epinephrine to keep the hearts from collapsing completely. Finally, she added the synthesized antivenom, not as a miracle, but as a mop for what remained. When she stepped back, sweat prickled under her collar. "Now," she said. "We wait." KARROTH's head snapped toward her. "Wait." His voice was thunder. "Yes," Maya said, firm. "Her body has to climb back. We stabilized the fall. We can't drag her up by force." The medical bay went silent. Monitors beeped. Warriors breathed slowly. Sess stared like he was watching a superstition perform surgery. 10 minutes. Vera's tertiary heart rhythm twitched. Still weak, but no longer sliding into chaos. Sess's mandibles clicked faster. Stabilization detected. He said like the words hurt him. 20 minutes, secondary heart output improved. The hemorrhaging markers slowed. John exhaled. Inflammatory cascade is dropping. 30 minutes. Vera's paw moved again. This time, deliberate. Her eyelids fluttered. KARROTH stepped forward, so quickly his armor plates clinked. Vera's mouth opened. A tiny voice scraped raw by poison. "Slipped out, Papa." The translator rendered it softly and standard. KARROTH's knees nearly gave out. He pressed his massive clawed hand to her head, trembling like a creature that had never been allowed to tremble before. "I am here," he whispered, voice breaking. "Little Fang, I am here." Maya backed away, letting that moment exist without her standing inside it. John touched her shoulder lightly. Sess approached next. Limbs folding inward in a gesture Maya recognized as reluctant respect. "Our medical corps predicted those compounds would be ineffective," Sess said slowly. "How did you decide that this would work?" Maya gave a tired, crooked smile. Because your computers search for perfect answers, she said. Humans grew up with imperfect ones. KARROTH turned toward her. His eyes weren't fury now. They were sharp, evaluating, remembering. You saved my cub, he said, each word heavy. With filtration, sludge, and allergy suppressants we would have discarded. Old doesn't mean useless, Ma replied. It just means people stopped paying attention. She nodded toward. VIRS. Stable VITALs. Human medicine is built on thousands of years of failure, she said. We collected every ugly trick that kept us alive. Your science is advanced. Ours is deep. KARROTH straightened to full height. Then he did something no one in that bay expected. He placed a clawed fist over his chest. Vakarine salute. The Grauwach do not forget debts. He said, voice carrying through the bay. You've earned the protection of my pack and my warfleet. If you call, we answer. Maya nodded, exhaustion finally sinking into her bones. Keep her hydrated, she said. Let her rest. And don't let anyone optimize my protocol out of pride. John let out a breath as they left the Iron Mall. That was insane, he muttered. You basically treated an alien apex predator. CUB like a severe toxic bite and anaphylaxis. Maya shrugged. Survival doesn't care about pride, she said. And humans have been surviving long enough to know that behind them, inside the dread carrier, KARROTH held his sleeping cub and stared at her steady breathing. He made a silent note. Humans were not strong like Vakarine. They were not refined like Coalition MedTech. But they carried something the galaxy kept forgetting. Relentless, accumulated survival. And in the medical database of the Iron Mall, SESS began downloading every human emergency medicine manual he could access. Ancient fixes. It turned out, still had teeth across the fleet. The story spread in low voices. When your advanced systems fail, call a human. They have other ways. Asterisk. Asterisk. Subscribe to Neon Cub Tales. For more savage high stories that hit hard and end bigger, if this story gave you chills, smash like right now and let the algorithm know you want more. Comment your favorite moment in one line. Was it KARROTH's breaking point? Or Maya's outdated fix? Share this with one friend who loves HFY and sci-fi. Let's grow the pack together. Your support keeps Neon Cub Tales alive. Subscribe, like, comment, and share.